All right, here we go, friends. Tim, Kirby Russia. Oh, I'm already coughing. All right. Returning from kind of sick leave here, guys. I'm sorry the content has been very low. Coming from me, I've been trying to keep up with the news on Tim Kirby Russia. People have been feeding me via what I call the pipeline. Lots of good news and information about Russia. Not a lot of original content recently because I've been really sick for the last, let's say, I felt better about 2 days ago, and before that, for like 8 or 10 days, I was actually pretty darn sick. So that's where I've been, if you've been wondering. Today, we're going to have maybe a big discussion about like the houses in the village, houses in Russia in general. I've been getting a bunch of questions about that. So a non-political topic. We also have some other little bits of news, clarifying questions, and today we can also probably maybe go a little bit off topic a little bit later. I don't see that as a particular problem if we go off topic later, but for now we'll stay on topic for the near future. So anyways, let's get into some, I guess, again, for those of you who don't know, a lot of this talk today is going to revolve around the American Villages Project. What is that? Long story short, it's my project to help get foreigners, especially English-speaking, Orthodox Christians, or at least people who aren't against the Orthodox Church, to move to Russia. And I guess it's the last time we talked. I haven't done a live stream in a while, but I think I did mention that the Moscow regional government now has all of our documents, and they did put it together into some sort of legal package to actually get this thing, signed, stamped, and hopefully eventually delivered. So we're going to get going on this, and it looks like it's going to happen for the most part. So that's really good. I've been asking them to give me some sort of roadmap or timeline about okay, so you've taken all of our information, you've turned it all into one big legal project. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Again, thank you for a third time. Now, what's it going to look like? What's the roadmap? What's the deal? Nothing yet. So unfortunately, I don't really know what to tell you guys. Yeah. That's who knows, but probably after New Year's, because you guys have to remember that usually in the run-up to January, everyone gets really busy, and these kind of projects that are not critical, it's not going to change the destiny of the region of Moscow, usually don't happen. And then we have about 2 weeks where nothing happens in Russia. So probably about the 3rd or 4th week of January, that's when some kind of project like this will again become interesting and someone will start looking at it. So I hate to be pessimistic, but I do live in Russia. So maybe pessimism should be natural. But I have a strong feeling that about the real concrete timeline, it's probably going to come 3rd or 4th week of January, which I know sucks because a lot of you guys have been waiting for months to come to Russia, and you're going to be waiting another month again. But it's the way it is. The governor's the boss, and I'm not. So there you go. Now we have one really good and probably unexpected piece of news that I wanted to tell you guys that's really cool about the village is that I now have to have a unique bureaucratic assignment to do because it looks like we're going to have our own village priest. There just happens to be not Father Gleason. He's going to remain up north. His destiny is up there. There happens to be now a sort of second American-born Eastern Orthodox priest on the territory of the Russian Federation, but he doesn't really have his own flock. He's been here for doing various other sort of different things, and he kind of wrote to me. I've wanted to write to him to ask him to be the our sort of village priest because he's interested in the program, but I was kind of like, stuff happens, and those are the kind of messages where they have to be worded properly because when you're dealing with ideas and stuff, if you don't word the way you express an idea, especially the first time you say it to someone, that elevator pitch, you can really ruin it. So you really, unfortunately, one part of my life as someone who works in the media is when you make an elevator pitch, you really need to work it out, even when it seems something so minor as to ask someone who probably would want to do something like this to do it. But luckily for me, or maybe in connection with divine providence, who knows, this gentleman who will remain nameless until his transfer is approved by his higher ups. Remember, in the church, there's a certain amount of bureaucracy, and in order to go from one, I don't know, parish or territory to another officially, you have to have permission. So until he has permission, I won't mention his name. So anyways, he actually reached out to me and sort of pitched me the idea. And I was like, sir, my friend, dude, you were writing to me exactly what I wanted to write to you for like a couple weeks, but didn't get around to doing. So that's something that's neat. The village is going to have its own village priest, unless for some reason he's banned from doing it from his higher ups, which seems weird and unlikely, but it's within the realm of possibility. So that's something cool about the village that is definitely good news. Now, remember, guys, if you want to write any questions, if you sort of comment anywhere on the Tim Kirby Russia Telegram channel, I see it in sort of the collective comments. Probably the best place is to just write under those little pictures that say like 15 minutes till we start the live stream. So if you want to comment, you can do there. No call-ins yet. I kind of want to talk about our main topic for today because it'll make a better video for like Rumble and BitChute. So wait on calls, but comments are fine. So anyway, so that's our first piece of news, is that we have a village priest already who is going to look after us on the spiritual side. Because your friend here, Tim, the strange man who lives in the woods, as I think is the best title for me personally. I don't think I'm quite up to the job of being your spiritual father there. So, anyways, moving on. Next, we had a question about the American village that I thought was actually such a deep question that I thought I'd share it here. So let me quickly write it. It is from Oxassenberg? I don't even know what to say. But anyways, he says, hello, I have a question about the American villages. It seems to me that it does not make sense to build American communities in remote or rural areas. My family came to America in the 1880s and lived in New York City until the 1920s. The reason for this is that jobs are very hard to find in rural areas. Really, wouldn't it make more sense to move to urban areas or to form immigrant mutual aid societies and support groups? So I get a couple questions generally about like with the American Village Project, and they're always like, and this question is actually a very Russian question, because it's like, well, why didn't you do this project in a completely ideal and perfect way according to me? That is a very Russian question to answer, and any foreign people who are going to start living here, if you ever try to do anything here, all Russians are going to, it's a very Russian way of thinking. So, well, the first part is, it's like, okay, all right. I don't even know. How much would it cost to, I guess, build an American community in Moscow? What would that look like? So, again, this is kind of an interesting question because, well, first off, I don't know how much money that would cost. We'll start with the money part. Like, as Russians say, Moscow isn't made of rubber, which is a very stupid expression. I hate it. But what they mean by that is essentially Moscow can't be stretched. It can't be expanded, even though they've done that. But essentially that there's limited room in Moscow, which also means that the migration authorities there are sort of even less interested in helping. The mayor's department is even less interested. Basically, no one is really interested in trying to motivate people to move to Moscow. They're already motivated to move there. So first off, the government, of all the places in Russia, like a major city like Moscow, St. Petersburg, you're going to get probably the least amount of government support. And another thing about building a community is that I think we should also think about this is, do communities exist in urban environments the world over? I would argue no. I think that a lot of times when people use the word community, it's some sort of like legacy, historical inertia word. As someone who grew up in a more or less suburban, urban environment around Cleveland, there was zero community. Community is something from the past. You know what I mean? Community is something from like the early modern or pre-modern world. So I don't know how exactly you're going to build this example. What if we did this in Moscow? It's a philosophical question. So in Moscow, everyone would have to like come here and then rent an apartment for really expensive. I guess there is work here, but they'd be divided by these absolutely titanic distances between each other. And so, like, what kind of basically, why not just come here as an individual? You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. You know. And he mentions that his family went to New York in the 1880s and they lived until the 1920s. Another question: why'd they leave? Why'd your family leave New York? Maybe because it sucks. Because most of the immigrants, especially during that period, lived in squalor for generations. So you know what I mean? It's like, there was work in New York. For sure, during the late 1800s, early 1900s. Yeah, there's plenty of work. What kind of work? You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not seeing it. I think most people would rather live a very nice lifestyle and commute, or because we live in the 21st century in Russia, you open your laptop and work from home, and you make money, and you survive on that, and then you live in a beautiful environment surrounded by nature. So that's why. So so first off, again, just to answer that question, it's a valid question. But you can't have a community in an urban environment. People would be way too spread out. No one can afford to buy anything in Moscow. Like, an American with like limited, again, I judge things by America. Sorry, I'm American. That's how I see the world. So sorry, people in Scotland. But the average American who does have savings actually has enough money to maybe like build a house. They don't even have a drop in the bucket to buy an apartment in Moscow. Another thing. And that's also a very critical part of moving here. No permanent address, no life in Russia. And so that's what we're going to talk about now. We are going to talk about some of the costs involved with building in Russia, and I sure hope that I don't screw this up. Oh boy, let's see. Before I do that, let's get to some questions here. Some people are just saying thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, excuse me. Now, if I can somehow share the other screen, we can. I don't need that. Hold on, guys. Oh, I wanted to show you what the house is. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. So first, I wanted to show you a kind of what the houses in the village are projected to look like. That was another big issue for today. Sorry, when I don't write things down on a piece of paper, they vanish from my mind. So here we go. How do we screen share? We're sharing that screen. We're going over to screen number 2. Oh boy. Share screen. Okay. So so here we are, friends. So this is from one potential company, and I'm not going to again mention their names because we have no guarantees. But it's one of these things where if you're really astute, obviously you could sort of like go online and try to find this image and then retrack who sent it. But I don't think that that's a problem. I don't think that they're going to care. But again, I don't like to mention specific names until you really have something confirmed. But so anyways, what do we have here? In fact, I need to make this image bigger on my screen because the other screen, if I look at this the whole time, it's going to look weird in the video. So let me increase this. So anyways, this is one sort of style of home that they have here. But I think what's more realistic and more plausible and actually more cost efficient is going to be something that looks like this. All right. So when I talked to this particular company, thankfully we have a mutual friend. We'll just put it this way. I kind of described, the project, what we're looking for. And these kind of houses here in this image, like the previous image is a little bit more, it's more American by shape, like the overall shape of you have a long 1-story house with that very sort of simple roof. Well, maybe not America, that's Ohio. Okay, that's Midwest. Your Midwest, your Rust Belt, your Tornado Alley type of shape of homes, which is cool. It sort of represents America, but it's definitely not in an American style. You know what I mean? And I'll show you a picture of what they look like without the skin on them. And so keeping this American shape just for the sake of having it be like American, I don't think that there's any point in that. And especially because it seems like maybe a third or half the people who are coming here, probably closer to a third, like have families and they have many children. So essentially you're going to pour, what happens is you like pour a foundation. That's one of the more expensive parts of your home, and then you build on that. And it's kind of like, well, then, why, if you're going to pay for the foundation, why not put 2 stories on it? And in fact, one of the reasons why a lot of medium to smaller sized homes in Russia are like see this, how these are like a perfect cube, is because that's very good for heat retention. It's very good to have the heating system in the exact middle of the cube on the first floor. It's like the perfect location, and you sort of get the most natural, effective overall spread of the heating. And so this sort of almost a cube or slightly elongated cube, because I think that this is probably what, I don't know, 6 meters or more, maybe a 7 by 8 meters, something like that. I would have to assume judging by kind of the sizes of things. You know, yeah, sticking that basically sticking that heating in the middle is going to be the best way to do stuff. Also, very popular to have like roofs on the side of buildings in Russia because that's cheaper, which is good for you guys. Because again, there's no way the government is going to be able to gift this to people. It'll be something that they'll have to slowly pay the government back for over time. But that's okay. That's okay. It's all part of moving to a new country. Because trust me, if I would have come here and I would have had real estate waiting for me, that would have been amazing rather than flopping around for a decade on my own. But anyways, as you guys can see, these are, and of course, if you have any questions about what you're seeing here, about what the houses will look like, write them in the chat. Although, like I said, I'm not revealing the name of the company that's issuing this. If you really want to look, any astute person will be able to sort of, not retroact, not retrofit, sort of go back in time and like analyze this and figure out what company this is if they really want to. One thing too, but this is sort of a pretty rendering to sell these ideas. Trust me, no one is going to be forced to pay for an in-ground pool in Russia. You want to talk about like a money sinkhole? This pool, I think, cost like more than half the price of the house. Okay, so yeah, in-ground pools in Russia are that's a bit of a luxury item there. All right, let's move on to our next one. Unfortunately, some of the text got screwed up on my computer when I opened this file from them. But anyways, these are what this type of house looks like in real life. So again, I didn't want to show you guys computer renderings because computer renderings always kind of look fake. Well, these are basically what the houses look like, kind of in real life. I think these fences suck personally, but everyone can build their own fence. I don't know. These fences look a little bit dinky and pointless. If you're going to have a fence, especially in Russia, if you're going to have a fence in Russia, you have a fence. You don't play games. So, anyways, one of some nice things as you can see is the streets actually paved pretty nicely. Nice driveway for parking and all that. So, yeah, some people here actually do have the solar panels on their house. I don't know how much that's going to benefit you in Russia. Some people swear by them, some don't, but that's up to each individual. I'm definitely not going to force anyone to pay for solar panels in a country with a million bazillion nuclear power plants. So that's up to you. I don't know. I like the style of these homes. And again, for like a family home, I think this is pretty good because if we go over here and we talk about square meters, let's see. So what do we have? 8 times 7 is 56, right? Or did I make that up in my mind? No, that's 56. So we take 2 stories. So roughly that's a max of 106 square meters. It's 1,140 square feet, which is a pretty good size for a home in Russia. If you're thinking about like heating and cooling, most people don't install air conditioners because there's no point in Russia. They just open all the windows and it works. But if you want to, you can. So heating's more the issue. That's a pretty good size for a family. At least in my estimate. Now, one other thing you might want to think about too is one of the other reasons why I liked this company and their house designs is because, as you see, they did a good job of sticking with a nice, simple design philosophy. They didn't make this thing where there's all sorts of stuff jutting out and the roof's going all over the place with all these different angles and all this other crap. So what do we see here? Essentially, we're seeing what is it? Like I said, it's probably a 7-meter wide, possibly 6. 6 is very easy construction-wise, so it might be 6. But I don't know. It doesn't look, 6 looks too... It looks too big to be 6. But anyway, 6 is very common for a width for a home. So is 7, so is 8, but 6 is the most common. But who cares? Whatever it is, in the future, because I believe in freedom, and this project believes in freedom, and because Russian law doesn't care, what you can do is it is very easy to extend a home like this. Because look, you just basically extend the roof this way, extend the roof this way, extend this, no harm, no foul, no trouble. So if someone in the future does want to like put a balcony here, extend this 6 meters more this way. What if you double the size of your home, you're already over 2,000 square feet. So that's another option that should be available to everyone. And I'll try to also keep this in mind if we do get to the process of building all of these houses. I'm going to think about the positioning of them. So that way every house is going to be able to be expanded in one direction, you know, when we build these. Because if this house was, say, tilted 90 degrees, it wouldn't be expandable. Because on the one side would be the driveway, on the expansion side. Well, on the one side would be the driveway, and on the other side would be like the fence and the other neighbor's property. You'd only be able to like extend it 2 meters or something, which is garbage. Okay. So I'm kind of keeping this in mind. That's another reason why this particular house style of some of the styles they showed me was pretty good, because when you get into houses with stupid roofs and all sorts of goofiness with the foundation and crazy shapes, they become much harder to expand. I think this one in the background, you can really see how you could literally just sort of like drag, like if you had a computer and you could select this, like in Photoshop, you could just drag this and extend it. That's basically it. So, yeah. So anyways, let's move on. That's them in real life, you know, real life photos somewhere. I have no idea where that is, but it's somewhere in Russia. And unfortunately, the only picture I could find here is, this is not this house. Well, maybe this one in the background is. If you look at my mouse, maybe that's one of them. It's kind of hard to tell. But these are what the houses look like when they are naked, when they are being built. And they're actually built like apartment buildings are in Russia. They apparently are panel homes, judging by the way this all looks. They're just coming down and they're taking a crane and they're slapping down panels, which is very good, because panel homes, panel construction is one of the most reliable, best for heat absorption. It's pretty primo, so I'm very happy that they're willing to work with us, because I don't know if you guys would appreciate that, but trust me, when you start living in something that's like a panel, like a nice, like a, not a 1960s panel built home, but like when you're in somewhere that's like a nice panel built building somewhere else, it just feels like you're in a fortress. It really keeps the heat well. So anyways, this is what this type of building could look like naked. Then again, as you can see, these have flat roofs, and our homes would not. Flat roofs are poopy, and they open a lot of problems. We are not doing that. Flat roofs, especially in Russia, open up a whole world of drama and problems. Even though they do kind of look nice, no. We are having good old generic, I think that's called a gable roof, where it's like just a simple roof, like a stereotypical house. But anyways, I need to learn my terminology, I guess. But so that's what it would look like on a construction site, panel built, and panels are fantastic. This is just another, this wasn't from their site. This was just from somewhere. Someone took this photo for some reason. You can see a little street and the fence. The fences look nicer here, but still, they're kind of pointless. You can see through them. Like, one of the reasons in Russia you have a fence is you can walk around in your underwear if need be, or women bathe nude. So anyways, there's no point in having making any of you guys pay. So that's one thing. I understand money's tight, and I'm not a rich man myself. So when we do work out how we're actually going to do these homes, I definitely want to make sure that everything is sort of built minimalistically. And if someone wants to later go in with their own money and build some kind of crazy fence, that's awesome. But there's no reason to have someone who's moving to a new country, starting a life over, being like, "Hey, bro, pay for 300 feet of fencing or 400 feet of fencing." That's no, we're not doing that. That is poopy. That is poopy. No. So anyways, this is another, real life image of what one of these buildings look like. As you can see, you have the nice deck here. You could easily put an awning or something over it. This is also a good example because this deck here could easily be upgraded or changed. Like I said, put an awning over it. You could make it a 2-story deck very easily. You could put some, because if these posts are actually in like cement under the ground, you can go post, 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 post out of the building, post 3 posts out there, and you can make it like a double-decker deck, and that would be amazing. Good for families and all that. So, yeah, you can see there's a car parked over there in the street, very nice, and a little territory around the house. Although, as you can see, this house, I would say one thing is they did the classic mistake of what you really don't want to do is stick your house in the exact middle of the territory. That's bad from sort of like a, I want to say interior design, but it's outside. But it basically, it makes it so all the space around your house is equally less usable than it could be. It's always better to stick the house more into the corner of a territory, facing the proper direction. So I don't like the way this is laid out, but the house is nice, So Okay. So anyways, I'm gonna check the messages, and then we're gonna move into our sort of final part of the episode today, where I'm gonna talk about the costs of actually building a home yourself. Okay. So let's bring the camera back on my beautiful face, and I will check the messages for now. All right. So anyways, I am now very big on my own screen. It is terrifying. No one is writing. Oh boy. No one is writing anything. Okay, this is not good. People are watching, but no one is writing. That's all right. Okay, so anyways, I want to talk to you guys about how you could maybe calculate then how much you could be spending on a house. So here we go. I'm gonna probably need a pencil and paper here because I think I'm not gonna remember anything I say. So anyways, let's go back to sharing the screen, and we are going to go back to screen number 2. All right. So anyways, guys, if you see this on my screen over here is, and I think in this program, you can draw squares. Adobe Acrobat, can I draw a square? There's type tools. There's some kind of thingamadoo. Oh, nope. Okay, here we go. All right, so that does work. All right, that is cool. Okay, so that's a useful feature. But anyways, guys, this is a plan I got from an architect for the house in Chekhov. So I guess I'm revealing some information about myself. I don't see my address listed here, so that's good. So no one will find that out. But anyways, you see the part where there's like the red walls for the most part, where I circled in yellow. This is my house, the first floor of my house in Chekhov as it stands. As you guys remember, you can always go back to our old episodes of This Old Russian House. And no ads, thank you guys, thank you. Although the Fresh and Fit podcast is really awesome, so you guys should really check out Fresh and Fit. That is the best. Get rid of the sound. But anyways, so there we go. There's the house. All right. So here's my lovely. Wonderful little house there, and here's a plan to extend it. I got this plan done basically before I even really thought the village would happen. So it's probably not going to happen, because if we do the village thing, I'm going to need to be there a lot. First off, I'll want to live there, and sort of building a really nice house from scratch is kind of maybe a bit better than extending a house that's kind of old and beat up and trying to force it to be a bigger, nicer house than it was ever meant to be. But anyways, these plans are old, and I also have, unfortunately, due to a certain marriage not going the way I wanted it to, I also have some other financial obligations when it comes to real estate. So anyways, this is from a real professional architect firm or company called Smart Stroy. If you guys were to come to Russia and want to build something, I'd really recommend Smart Stroy. They have a very good reputation. They are very cool people. And I'd be happy to personally introduce you to them. But of course, they don't work for free. So, if you come here and you want to plan, get ready to pay for it. I think it's like 1,000 rubles a square meter for them to plan out stuff. But considering a lot of homes are like, 100 square meters or whatever, that's 100,000 rubles. That's already over $1,000, So they don't work for free, but they do work well. So anyways, they came up with this nice plan to extend my house. And what is this area over here? As you can see, what I was talking about before, we have, I'll make it, I don't know, green. Why not? So as you can see, we have this. We have like maybe how you have 6 meters divided into 3. So why did I extend this thing specifically 6 meters? Because it works out to be cheaper. Because you do these sort of 3 meter column. Like if you put down the foundation kind of actually looks like this. So the foundation would be poured looks like this, okay? And so you have these sort of 2-3 meter columns. Why? Because a lot of wood is cut to be about 3 meters long, or sometimes 6 meters. You cut it in half, and that makes it very convenient to put the floor in and to put everything else in, because with the blocks being there, the distance becomes slightly less than 3 meters, and you can pretty much just plop in all the beams for your floor and the beams for like the ceiling above it, and they all fit in amazingly well. So you'll see a lot of things in Russia are done. A lot of little homes are done 6x6 for a reason, because it's cheap. And that really, this foundation that you're looking at right in front of me for this, let's see, can kind of a little bit of 3D there. I don't think that really helps very much. Anyways, I guess for you can sort of see the old house, the new house of what it would look like. But anyways, I guess this is the most understandable of all the charts. So this foundation here that's over here, I got a quote for 400,000 rubles for that. Amazing. Okay, so that's our first cost. That's what it cost to get that built around Chekhov in a couple days. Fantastic. Now, what you guys can do is you can check out some of the amazing things that the Russian internet has to offer. And they have online calculators for how you can build stuff. Okay? So we are going to... I know it's hard to read this because it's in Russian, but we're going to take a look. We're going to grab a good example. These are the blocks, the cinder blocks they have in Russia. So let's take this one, for example. The cinder block here costs 296 rubles per block. It's 625 by 250 by 300. So we have 625, 250, 300. So 625 is what in inches? That is over 24. It's like 25, 26 inches long. So let's just say 24 long. That is 10 deep. That's a thick wall. And it is then tall would be, well, that says the length, but that's not really the length, but it doesn't matter. I guess, oh no, so I guess this would be 300, and this would be then 625. So the length, 24 inches, height or depth, 10 inches, height, 12 inches for one block. Okay, fantastic. Then if we go into the distance, if you remember on my little plans of my home here to extend it, well, we have, how many walls do we have? We'd have 6 meters, 6 meters, 6 meters, 6 meters, you know, roughly going around. I mean, there's windows and doors and all that stuff, but roughly. And then you'd need something here, especially on the first floor, to balance the second floor. Because like I said, you have to put beams between these two columns. So essentially what you have is you have about 30 meters. Okay, so 6 times 4 and then 6 in the middle makes 30. So we have 30 meters here. Fantastic. How tall would the walls be? They were planned to be somewhere like 280. No, less than 280. Maybe 250. Lower walls. You know, my current walls in Chekhov are actually like 220, but I think that might be a little crazy. Let's actually go down to 240. I actually kind of like it. It's more cozy with the short ceiling. So we have 240. Here you can adjust whether you want to have like double blocks, like over 2 blocks thick, or one complete block thickness. But most of Russia builds everything half block, and so I would too, because that's still 10 inches of solid material, and it's very cheap to put exterior insulation on this stuff. Super cheap. So anyways, it's asking how much mortar they put between the blocks. I don't know. Let's leave it to the default. Let's calculate this. So for the first floor, we need 354. Okay, so we have 354 blocks. Okay. Oh my gosh. My mouse is flipping out. 354 times 2. So that's 708 plus 70, because you always add 10% more. We have 778 blocks. How much does a block cost? 296. Okay. So times 296. We have we doubled the amount of blocks because there's 2 stories. So we have 230,000 some. Let's just put 231,000 for the blocks. Awesome. Let's then go into all those beams. That is I don't know. Stop. What would be the size for a floor beam? This is the problem, guys. I live in a metric country, but I'm still kind of thinking in American numbers. You know what we're gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to go a little bit back in time here, and I'm gonna have to do this because I forgot. I think I might have the wrong terminology here. Catalog Wood. Dusky. Maybe Dusky might be it for this kind of size. What kind of size do we have? It's a 2x4. Sorry, guys. I should have planned this before. 2x4. You're probably not going to build a roof with 2x4s. What kind of sizes do they have here? I'm sorry about this, guys. I should have paid more attention. 50.2 new cousin. I think this is the wrong thing. Hold on. And this is why I hate this site. Come on. Come on. What are they showing? Reiki. I thought it was Boosty were the right things for this kind of job. 2x2. Man, why is this done in such a stupid way? Well, anyways, let's see. Sorry about this, guys. So let's see. We're looking at, that's going to be a 50 by 6 inches by 150. So 150 for a 2x6. 50. The picture does not look accurate at all, but this is the right measurement. So this is going to be about 698. So we have 698. As you can see from our plan, when you put your floor in, you're basically going to be doing 60 centimeters on center, which means you need 11, 11, 44. So you need 44 of those, and then probably another 44, or no, 66 for the ceiling. So let's rough estimate of 70 times 698 equals 48,000. Cool. Okay, so here you have the fundamentals. I forget how much roofing costs, but roofing tends to be expensive. Let's go with the roofing here, and we go, what's this called? Good old cheapo. Oh boy. Let's see. How many square meters of roof do we have? Do they sell it by the square? 322 rubles a square meter. As you guys looked on the plan, the square, if the roof were flat, it'd be 36 square meters. We stretch it out, we're going to probably get into the 40s. So let's go with, like, I don't know, 45 square meters. So 45 square meters by 322 equals, that's really cheap. That's surprisingly cheap. That might actually be terrible roofing, but whatever. So anyways, what do we have here? When we take into account the roof plus the blocks plus the beams that would go into, like, the floor. I mean, that doesn't include the flooring. We have the foundation. What you have here to build, like, a 6x6 house, to build that extension that I would want to put on my own house, to have nothing in it, okay? So you're having, like, no electricity, no finished walls, no doors. The windows. Windows aren't too bad in Russia. I would say for that kind of house, the windows, let's bump it up. Oh, man, I haven't bought a window in a long time, and I don't want to look on this site because their prices are ridiculously high for windows. But I guess I should do it to be fair. Let's go with oak. What kind of windows do we have here? 500 by, that's tiny. Tiny. They're all teeny tiny. Why are they teeny tiny? 1.20 meters. So 10 meters. Oh, let's put another 100,000 on there then. That's actually not so bad. 120 by, like, 120. Right, let's just say 100,000 for windows. What you're looking at is about 800,000 rubles to build that extension that I am dreaming of, with nothing in it. No water pipes, which aren't part of the plan anyways. no nothing. But that's essentially what it would take to sort of materials-wise build a 6x6 relatively small house in Russia. Again, what does 6x6? First off, let's do 800,000. 8,000 rubles, $2. What is that? 12. What? I think it's interpreting this as a decimal. 12,864. In terms of square meters, that is a maximum of 64. So it's a 688 square meter house, although it'll come out to be less than that because of the walls. But guys, one thing I can tell you is that what is a tiny house? You know, people talk all the time about tiny houses. A tiny house is 36 square meters. That is the definition of a tiny house, and that is vastly smaller. Okay, so if you guys really wanted to put together, like build a house in Russia, a small house, that's what you're looking at. You are looking at 12, again, without the cost of labor. If you kind of doing it yourself, except for the foundation had the labor costs of building a small house. That's kind of what you're looking at as the $12,000 range to build just the empty body. And I bet if you doubled that, that would sort of include your labor. That would include a lot of the wiring and drywall if you want to put that up, although I hate drywall. And so the flooring and some of the stuff that's more kind of on the cheaper side. So, yeah, doors can get expensive, though. Doors can get expensive. But if you're moving to a new country, you can live without interior doors for a while. Trust me. I've done that. So anyways, that's kind of a price breakdown of if like someone was curious about building a home in Russia themselves. I thought it would be kind of neat to actually do a price breakdown of what I was planning to do, but probably will not do because my time as living in the woods by myself is going to be coming to an end. So, but anyways, guys, if any of you have then any questions that you want to ask verbally, now would be a good time to do the raise your hand function, and you can ask me a question with your voice, or otherwise we can just get the heck out of here. We can just call it a day and stop sharing. And yeah, oh boy, I am again. Well, boy, whenever I unshare, I am huge on the screen. So with 30K USU, you're good for labor and materials. Well, you just watch the program, and that's what I told you. And those prices are based on Moscow. You know what I mean? Moscow region to build that house. Obviously, that doesn't factor in the land because I already own the land. You know, that wasn't too bad. But so that was the kind of the costs that would be ahead of me to do what I was doing. And for those of you who watched my program, This Old Russian House, the entire cost of renovation at that time wound up being from start to finish, including getting the water going and all that, was 700,000 rubles. So again, like sort of the $10,000 range. But it was worth it, especially during COVID. So anyways, guys, I guess people didn't have any questions. Someone does want to speak. A certain person I'm very familiar with. Hello? Hello? Did you want to speak or not? No?
Hello?
Hello?
Hi. Just
Hi.
very, very interesting seeing those numbers, and it's very inexpensive, and the home is very comfortable. Now, the ones that you were showing that were made by these builders, these companies, would their pricing be similar to that? That's
a very good question. I am going to have to say that it's going to have to be more expensive because, they're going to come in with 16 guys, and they're going to knock this out. They're going to come in with a crane and all the pieces of the home on a big truck, and they're going to really plop that down. So what I was showing was really just the cost of sort of building it yourself, because anyone who's able-bodied can do the block thing. No one here can lift a concrete panel. That's beyond human limits. So I do think it probably is going to wind up being more expensive than this estimate I sort of put together here. But you also then have to factor in, well, they're doing it more hardcore, but they're also doing it more like an assembly line, which tends to make things cheaper. And they're all going to be basically the same. So I'm not really sure. Because you asked such a good question, let me temporarily mute you. not because you're a bad person, but because that is the efficient thing to do at the time, so there's no background noise. And let me see if I can find you something that will be of interest here. Now, if we can, I hope this doesn't have any personal information. It doesn't seem to, so I'll show it to you. Now, a while ago, this was a long time ago. Hold on, I kind of lost myself. Where am I? That's the key thing. Okay, here I am. Excuse me again. I don't have a producer here, so sometimes things get a little janky when I'm fiddling with these things. So, anyways, that's not super important. But anyways, yeah. So, this house here, this sort of 3D model of this house, that was part of a project. This is also from that same company that I had do the like the mock-up for my extension. Initially, I wanted to knock down the second house that I own because it's a piece of junk and build an entirely new house on it, which is an 8.6 meter by 9.4. Let's round that up because that's ridiculous. 8.6. Oh boy, my brain isn't working. It's the middle of the night. So we have 8.6 by 9.4. So that's 80 square meters of floor. So that's 100. Oh my God, that's a beast. That's a beast by Russian standards. That's a 1,700 square meter house. That's what they kind of were pitching me on. And where is it? This. I think that first page may have some personal information on, which was going to force me. I'm going to have to edit this video tomorrow, which is sad. But anyways, this house here, if you look at it, big, beefy, so almost 10 meter by 9 meter home. This was going to cost, before COVID, I think is when we started this, before COVID, this was going to cost $3 million, start to finish. Okay. Let's just say because COVID did affect the prices of stuff. And I mean, this is start to finish as in from zero, okay, to turnkey. You walk in, you flip on the light switch, you plug in your teapot, and you make yourself your first cup of tea in your new home. $3 million. And $3 million is in Americano. Is 48,243. So that's what that was. I'm going to say realistically, because I have looked, some of the prices have come down after COVID. Blocks never went up in price because blocks are amazing. Blocks are the future, my friends. Wood is for fools. But let's just add 1 million rubles onto that just to say. So that's like a $64,000 home of what you're getting here. So again, unfortunately, guys, oh boy, I'm going to have to go back and edit this because I think that first page has my address on it. But anyways, as you can see, let's try to see the actual plan here. So you have this little deck, which would be nice. Concrete deck, by the way. Screw wood. They put wood there to like be over it. No, concrete, man's deck. So where's the inside? So you can see sort of, yeah, this would be the inside, like a huge open space kitchen, living room was part of the plan. A specific room just to have like the water heater and stuff in it. Very popular in Russia to have like a technical room there in sort of the corner. Bedroom on the first floor. Yeah, and then sort of like a nice studio office for me and stuff on sort of the second floor. So that's essentially what 3 million or probably 4 million rubles right now would buy you. And again, that's not factoring in the land because I owned it already. So that's what you're looking at. And I think, thank you for your astute question, I have a strong feeling that probably the houses in the village are going to be of a similar size. The problem is because they're panel, if they build them fast, I think they may actually wind up being cheaper because it's much faster with a lot of guys and a lot of cranes to come in and just do panel. Because the one thing about blocks that is their sort of disadvantage is, you know, no matter what you do with blocks, it's a block. You have to go in one by one. Oh, I also forgot to add the armature wire. You got to have armature wire between every fourth course of blocks, but that's also not a crazy amount of money. So throw another 300, 500 bucks on there, but let's see. Stroim dom is pen block of, yeah, pictures. So anyway, so one of the things too, if you guys are still seeing this, is so as you see, like, no matter what you do, oh, here's those beams. See, that's the perfect example how they set these beams every 60 centimeters, a 2x6 every 60 centimeters there. And you can see them on the floor down there too. You see what I'm saying? And this is why they build a lot of things 3 meters wide. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I would bet you 1,000 rubles that from here to, like, from this wall to this wall is 3 meters or maybe a little bit less. So that way they could just slap those beams in there. Maybe just shave off an inch or like 2 inches, slap those 2x6s in there, and there you have your floor. Okay, so that's the whole logic of why they do things that way. But as you see with these blocks, they go in one at a time. You know, you have to put them in one at a time. So one thing is they are a little bit more labor intensive, and you also get to this. Whereas if this was a panel, you know, you have one panel here, one panel down here, one panel down here, and you come in with a big, thick fatty that goes over where the window would be. Well, when it comes to blocks, then you have to put this angle iron, and then you have to, there's a channel block, and it has like a groove in it, and you have to put like a rebar and liquid cement in there and wait for it to dry. So these take much longer to build, even though the blocks are cheap. So I don't know. I think that this building company could really do something much quicker, so maybe it would be cheaper. Oh, yeah, here's another perfect example. This has to be a little bit less than 3 meters, judging by like the size of this window. So you can see how they do it. These are on but these are actually probably not only on brackets, but they're probably actually set a little bit into the wall. Actually, a little bit in the wall. So, yeah, but these people have a concrete floor. Ooh, that's nice. That is definitely preferred. Very nice in the winter. You'd think it wouldn't be, but it is. So anyways, let's see. And there's one that's more finished. And here's where we go with goofy stuff. This is obviously not super goofy, but when you start to get into complex roofing, these are sort of the areas, especially in Russia, where things are going to go bad, where your roof is going to get screwed up, water's going to get trapped there. And then you get in the weird thing of now this side of the building, because there's this, like, you know, complexity in the roof. Although you'd normally extend from this side, you can't really extend from this side anymore. It essentially really excludes you from being able to do very much with this side of the building and have it look nice, if that makes sense. Here's another. Whoa, boy, this is a nightmare. Like, how could you ever extend this home? I mean, this is a nice size home, but you got to think for the future. What if you want to start a small business? You know, I don't know. So that's why I don't like goofy roofs. I kind of like stuff that's boring, like something like this, because it's manageable. All right. So, what if we were to dome is, let's do a panel home. Panels. No, not those panels. Those are garbage. None of that. No. We need it to be of concrete. SIP panels are garbage. No. No. Wood is forbidden. So anyways, as you can see here, those are not the highest quality panels. You see that? There's some filler in that, boy. Hold on. Let's not scare everyone away. We're not doing that. No, get that out of here. Where's some? Oh my God! Look at those! Oh, look at those fatties! Oh my God, they're gorgeous. Now that's the kind of panels that we want to have. Look at how fat they are. They're like over 12 inches. They have they have all these seams. You can see here they didn't have to do any like weird stuff in order to make I will get to you very shortly. So they didn't have to do any weird stuff around the windows. They just kind of plop them down. They connect them, I believe, by welding them and sort of interlocking them, and then they where all the they're not grooves, they are not channels, like where the pieces meet. They put some kind of rubbery tarish material in there for soundproofing, heat proofing. It's amazing. So that's a good example of probably what we're going to be doing in the village. But again, that construction company, they didn't write anything on paper. Okay, they just were like, Tim, we're pretty sure we can get a government grant. We're going to build it on government grant money, and then your villagers can slowly pay us back or pay the government back over time. It's going to be awesome, which is also good because recently the Prime Minister Mishustin said that for all timber frame homes, the most American homes, I don't know why only timber frame. They're actually going to subsidize the materials in order to keep people building, I guess to re-stimulate the like timber industry. So the price of a timber homes is going to go down. But guys, I know it's tempting to build like a stick frame house. It is very American. It is very tempting. But if you want something that's going to last, you have this. This thing is going to last centuries. It's going to be for your great grandchildren. Timber frame house, one thing goes wrong, something gets wet, and then you're in deep doo-doo. And they don't retain the heat as well. I don't know. But hey, if something comes up and Mishustin is going to be like, thanks to these government subsidies, if something's going to offer us like timber frame houses at labor costs, there is something attractive about that. You wanted to speak? Did you want to speak? Did you want to speak? You're already on if you want to be.
You hear me?
Hello. Oh, I got to bump your volume. You're very quiet. All right.
Hello. You hear me better now?
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to ask, is there any 3D printing of houses in Russia?
It exists, but it's a gimmick, man. 3D printing is a gimmick. Why would you want to?
No, I'm just asking, like, to compare prices. Just thinking out loud, basically, because like you mentioned all the like different kinds.
Hold on, let's try to find out. Maybe the gods of Yandex. No. Dome. Напечатали. Let's see, what do they say? So, of course it's round. Oh, God almighty. Oh, because it only prints round things. So it says, so we have in Russia, they've printed the first house for 600,000 rubles. When was this? This was in 2017. So this was a while ago. They printed for 24 hours. 38 square meters. That's 38 square meters round. I don't know. Don't mention. Let's see. Is this about America or is this about Russia? I don't know. Don't know what to tell you because it's not a very popular option because 3D printing creates a lot of problems. So I don't know. I don't see any kind of quick answers here. That's actually 3D printing itself. Don't want to see again, something round. So you can do something in 13 hours. Whoop-de-doo. It's again the same house. It looks like this is very early, that it's not super. Well, something Yaroslavel. Let's see. Oh, but that's inside. Oh, get that. No. Garbage. Something like that. I don't know. I think that's still in sort of the gimmick phase. And oh, look at that. Oh, it's not even full. Oh, the walls aren't even full. Oh, that's very gimmicky, man. I'm sorry. I don't approve of that. So Jeremiah is listening. Hello, Jeremiah. Hello, Jeremiah. You are on the air. If you want to be.
I didn't realize I had to hit the unmute button.
I can barely hear you. Could you please speak a little louder?
Sure. Sorry, I'm a little sick too.
No, it's okay. Me too.
So anyway, thanks for putting up with me. Anyway, thanks for the cost projections in the houses.
Yeah, no problem.
So what are we looking at as far as like land pricing, and do any of these houses have garages, and how? So she gave us some good idea of what the actual house would cost, but we don't, not necessarily of how much we need to show up with in cash and
Well, do you mean for the American Villages program, or do you mean for Russia in general?
For the American Villages program.
The cost of the land is 0.
Great.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's part of the thing. We were able to get that donated, and thankfully the donating side has not changed their mind yet. So,
good.
Yeah, so don't worry about that. It's all the cost of construction.
So what would you say cash-wise to show up for the Villages project as far as down payment or paying cash for the house?
The problem is, because I don't know, like, if we can actually do it where my more dream is to have this construction company, again, getting a government grant to do this, and then the people who buy the houses pay off the grant. That's more my dream. I think that's more effective when it comes to immigration. Obviously, that demands a lot more money, but again, with this construction company, they can come in and they can put up the power lines, and they can, get your water or drill for water or whatever. They can do all that stuff lickety split, and they've done it a million times, right? They can get it done. And those are certain advantages, because one thing that happens is, well, what if that doesn't happen and everyone's on their own? Okay, well, it kind of depends on what kind of house you want, but also we're going to have to, everyone's going to have to pay a lot of money to drill for water. I don't know how deep the water is, that's one thing. Until the first person drills for water, you don't know how deep it is. And the drilling prices for water are expensive. Let's see, hold on. Let's do this. Стоимость бурения скважины. This one. Let's see if we can do it in 2 days, says this people. So for 2,500 rubles a meter minimum, which means it's going to be more. Let's see. Hold on. No. Hold on. So it says all year round water usage. What? This thing. Укажите населенный пункт, который там будет находиться. На дома дерева. We'll just say Chekhov. Okay. Hold on. It didn't 9,000 rubles. You punks. Well, anyways, let's just say it's going to be 2,500 a meter. Well, a lot of times water can be really deep down there. Let's just say the water is, I don't know, 75 meters down. 75 meters down by 2,500. 187,000 rubles. I mean, yeah, compared to America, we have a regular listener named John who drilled for water in America, and it was like $10,000. This is more like $3,000, but still, ouch. Yeah. You see what I mean, man? So if all of us have to individually drill for water, or are able to come to an agreement with their neighbors to share wells to an extent, it's possible to have enough, like, it's not called currency is electricity, enough pressure, water pressure, to share between 2 or 3 houses from one well. It's possible. But then again, if you guys want to live comfortably, what if your neighbor's taking a shower and water and flowers and all that, and you have very little water pressure? You'll be angry, Yeah. And that's another advantage when a big company comes in and just does everything. Then again, probably some of you guys are excited about the whole thing. Like we're in Chekhov, I open the thing, and I'm drinking the water that just comes from the land, man, just straight from the tap. So super ultra natural. So it can kind of go both ways, but the price of a lot of things is going to be more expensive if we build stuff ourselves, and we're also going to have to go through the process of, like, kind of. I don't know, trying to find reputable builders, because these people like Smart Story that I showed you earlier, well, they like to build stuff by their plans. They don't want to come in and where I'm like, well, how about you build me a 6x6 hut? And they're going to be like, so that's it, man. So one thing is how much, like, what?
Is it septic or sewer or? Well,
again, if a construction company comes in, it's going to be sewer. Absolutely. If they're going to do something about that, that's one of their specialties. However, if there's not that, then it's going to be the same, the situation I have in Chekhov, where the water goes into one septic tank The thick waste gets separated from the gray water. The gray water goes into a different septic tank, and that you either have to sort of spread into the woods or sort of spread out over gravel on your own territory to make it vanish. And then when the first tank starts to get full of solid waste, you have a suck truck come and get rid of it. That's pretty cheap. I mean, getting a septic put in is probably going to be like 50,000 rubles. It's not going to be that bad, but it's still something that you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to do it yourselves. And it's also a kind of pain in the butt, because like that's one thing about life in Chekhov is you're always concerned about the septic tank. Because it's sort of like, okay, all right, I took a shower, I've been flushing the toilet a lot, someone came over to visit. It's like, okay, how much do I have in the septic tank? Oh boy, what am I going to do? I need to get rid of it. And then you get into like now where it's winter, and it's always really scary because when the second tank starts getting full, you're like, I really, really hope the water doesn't freeze while I'm pumping it out. You know, that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of, I don't really know what to say until we finally get something written in stone. It's kind of both ways. In some ways, the whole like doing it all yourself thing is super romantic and cool, but it's also kind of frustrating. So what would I say? Well, let's just say you had to do this all yourself. And how big of a house? Like, do you have a bunch of kids? I forgot.
No, I don't have any. But if I go to Russia, I gotta get the Russian life, you know. And
yes, you're gonna get married and have kids in the future. Well, I don't know, man. Then I guess it is going to be something like $45,000 to $60,000, because you're going to need to build a bigger house, or you need to build a house that's smaller, like how you said for my extension, could in theory be built by me. Like if I was the labor, I could do that for then, what did I say, like 800,000, without it being nice on the inside, with it being kind of junky. Let's up it to $1 million, okay, where it actually has like, you know, doors and walls and all this shit. You know, that's going to be like 1 million rubles for me to do it without the labor. So yeah, that's not a lot of money, dude. That's $15,000. You can't even buy a barn dominium, as in like a Walmart barn that you can convert into a house, costs more than that. So it's a pretty good price, but still, you know, it's $15,000, and that's your minimum starting fee. And again, that wouldn't include water. That wouldn't include the septic tank. That's when you're getting up to like $1.5 million.
And are you planning natural gas heating, or what are you thinking for?
Of course, I asked. Of course, because the government is very, very pro natural gas. So when I filed all the documents, I said, you know, what is mandatory and what we would really like. And the thing is you can only to an extent blow smoke up the government's butt. And I told them that like electricity and internet are 100% mandatory. Like this village can't function without internet and electricity. It's just not going to happen. Like people can't live like that. Can people live without water and gas heating? Yes, because in Chekhov I do it. And a lot of people do it. But you know, if again this construction company comes, when I talked to the person from the governor's office, when I went to submit the documents, they felt very good. They were basically like, look, dude, what's around this land? I was like, well, there's a couple dacha communities that's all. They're like, that's it. If it's not incomplete, they were like, basically, if you build something in the Moscow region and it borders something else, we'll hook you up. So they feel very good about that. But then again, I've been promised a lot of things from overconfident people in the past. But yeah, gas heating's nice. It's very cheap. Electric heating is very expensive.
Well, in the States, yeah.
So, and my electricity, they raised electricity. Unfortunately, it's now something like it used to be 5.5 rubles a kilowatt. Now it's like 6.1. Bastards. Yeah. So, anything else, or?
Sure. Tell me while I'm getting to grill you a little bit. Tell me about a car too. So if we want to have we got to have a car. What's that going to cost us?
Oh, that's easy, man. Lada.ru. Because now it's really simple. You're either buying a Russian car or you're buying a Chinese car. That's it. Those are your only two options. Or sometimes a Chinese car made in Russia. So we're going to buy, the cheapest possible car you can get is apparently the Lada Granta for 678,000 rubles. So, that's less than 10 grand. The Vesta, a much nicer car, costs like I guess then over 10 or 15 grand. Like, where's the money one? 678. 10 grand even. Oh, okay. The Vesta a lot more. So that's probably what you're going to be stuck with because these are the only things around. I don't know if you want to get a pickup truck. UAZ.RU. Oh boy. Oh no, all the Uazas got more expensive. I missed my window of opportunity. They're all like $1.5 million. Ouch. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously for America that's cheap, but
my American 4-wheel drive.
All right. Well, anyways, man, those are your options for 4-wheel drive. Let me talk to the For Realist, who I hope is means that they're for real and not a furry. So, hello, For Realist. Did you have a question? Hello? You have to bump your volume too. For Realist, you had a question, I thought, in theory, maybe, kind of, sort of. First off, I'm going to see, what do they mean by connect? Connect to what? You're going to be connected with your Uaz. Fantastic. All right, then. Okay. I kind of don't want to be. I don't want any of this. I don't want to have a communication with my car. I don't know. For Realist, where have you gone? Have you given up? For Realist, didn't you want to be on the program? Is your microphone not working? Is something wrong? Let's go back to the Ladas.
Something is wrong. Can you hear me?
There we go. Now I do.
Ah, you can hear me now? Sorry. I didn't know if I to use my computer.
It's okay.
I lived in Russia for a long time. I was invested there. I got married there, stuff like that. And I want to go back there, but it's a problem with paperwork. My wife was registered outside of Moscow, and even when I divorced her to get a divorce certificate, I couldn't even get that because of the old school bureaucracy.
So, are you still legally married in Russia?
No, I'm not legally married, but I worked there for a decade, and I was married. And during that time, if I had pursued it properly and had the paperwork, without having to go out of town to get it and stuff like that, taking hours, it never worked. I would have had the right to have residency. And I'm wondering if there's any way of going back now that technology might have caught up with things and be able to get those records and find out what my status is to get back.
Okay. Well, so first off, we got to talk to you about this divorce issue. So, how did you get divorced here?
Formally.
In what way?
Well, I don't know if I want to talk too much personally. There's only 10 people on this thing, so that's all right.
Dude. It's a very important. Then here. Let me just make a generic example here, okay? A lot. I bring this up now. Here, let me temporarily mute you, not because you're a bad person, but because we're getting background noises. Okay, we'll get you back on. Why do I bring this up in your particular case? Because generally, from like your common law countries, which are the English-speaking countries that we all come from, like what is a divorce or what is a purchase or what is a legally defined anything is a lot more organic. You know what I mean? Like, you know how like if you basically live together long enough, you're common law married and you have responsibilities. Not here, man. So the thing is, if you don't have a divorce certificate, that presents a very large set of possible advantages and disadvantages, because you said you got divorced in the normal way, but you also have to understand, I talk to foreign people all the time here, and so many people are told by Russians or they read something online that's completely incorrect that I almost assume when I'm speaking to people that the information they've been given is wrong. So the normal way, I mean, did you like, so there's a few different ways to file. There's filing from one side, filing from both sides. So if you would have done that now, you probably would have had to go online and file from like both sides and provide certain information. And there wouldn't have been any problem with getting the certificate. You know what I mean? That you've been divorced, because that would sort of come with the process. So kind of what you're telling me doesn't line up with the divorce laws the way I understand them, which means you may still technically be legally married here. And why does that matter? One, if you're still technically legally married to this chick for all eternity, that's awesome. You'll be back on Freelist. I'll get you back on. Hold on. That's actually kind of awesome because that is your foot in the door to come back. Because if you're legally married, you're technically married, and that counts. On the other hand, if you're coming back, and let's just say you're still seem to be legally married to this person, you weren't able to really divorce them, and if you have to do this process with them in person in the state that she lives in, oh boy, dude. Because, in order to get married to someone else in the future, you're going to have to go through a million hoops and BS and bureaucracy to get that done. Okay? So that's why I bring this up. Let me allow you to speak. So, hello again. You are on the air. You there, man? I hope don't interpret. Yeah, I do. Okay.
My wife told the courts that I had refused to divorce her, and I didn't even know she'd done that. And she went through with the process of divorcing me with a lawyer without my knowledge, right? And she lied to the court saying that I was refusing to divorce her, right? So it happened. Yeah. Now, just to get the physical, so it went ahead, we were divorced legally. But to get the physical certificate that I required, I had to go out to the outside of town. She lived in Железно Dorozhny. And and that's like stepping back into the 1950s,
What year was this, or roughly what year, if you want to keep that a secret?
2014, 15. 14.
See, by that time, they probably should have had those like My Documenti super bureaucracy centers open, and that's generally not
open. In her jurisdiction, though, she was just outside of Moscow proper in Железно Dorozhny. So they didn't have that. It was like starting back in the 1950s. So I never got the formal certificate.
Well, the thing is those have spread. Those bureaucracy centers have spread all over the country. I mean, even in the middle of like podunk nowhere now. So if you come back here and you visit and you go out there, you should be able to get that now, fairly easily.
Yeah, but see, that is anyway. Thanks for your time. I love your work, mate. I'll let you go.
Cool, Bull. Anyways, do you want to come back to Russia? Yeah.
I got heaps of other things to say. Yeah.
Well, if you have any other questions, man, I'm just sitting here answering questions, man. Let the bomb away, dude. Let's talk.
Well, how would one go about safely? I'm living in Australia. I mean, I've seen people getting in trouble for posting support of Russia on Facebook and stuff. How do you safely communicate with the right people that you want to do that, and then don't get in a dragnet of people here who support Russia if things go really pear-shaped? That's my concern.
Generally, personal conversations don't count. It's more like what people get in trouble for is generally posting stuff. I actually recently even got to meet for the first time someone who's very pro-Russian, who actually literally had to leave from a neighboring country to you there around Australia that also speaks English. I think you know which one. Just because they were terrified of having their lives destroyed by the government. So the one thing is about like private conversations, especially under fake names, they generally don't notice or particularly care. It's when you start to have like a social media presence. Like if you, if I was to create Tim Kirby Russia and run it from Australia, I'd already be in deep doo-doo. But if you're just someone commenting on stuff from Australia, generally not so much.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it's really about that. And it's sort of about it's about jumping over to this side of the line where you have a lot more freedom of speech and enjoying it. So, but if I were you, I just really, dude, I would not. If you let's just say you have a Facebook account where it's your actual real name, right? Somewhere, let's just say hypothetically. If I were you and I was living in Australia right now, I would really just keep that Facebook account to like talk to friends. I wouldn't post anything, like nothing. Or if it is, it's like,
I haven't.
I'm saying from a hypothetical standpoint, like with the way things are now, maybe you could say like, I went to the beach today and like photos of the beach and nothing more than that. Just the most generic vanilla stuff that you want to share about your life to people you know. But because you can't go hard in the West anymore, especially in Australia. Australia, Canada are the worst.
I agree. You almost need Yeah, and you almost need to keep posting mundane, generic bullshit just to make out like you don't know shit, and that's all you're into.
Yeah.
So they keep their eyes off you when you're posting elsewhere what you really think.
Well, yeah, because if you're seen as just some kind of like by the system as some kind of just normie, you know, that's useless.
Well, best of luck.
So, you know, that's usually not a problem. All right, man. Good talking to you. And I hope you have a good luck. Oh, wait, you want to talk more? Wait, you had something to say? Hold on, you're back. What do you want to say in closing? Hello? You're back. Hello? Well, I guess you're not back. It's all right. Anyways, but yeah, that's that. You definitely have a little bit of a complex issue about coming back, because if you know, let's just say, you know, you're coming back just sort of like on your own here, you know, as a Western foreigner, you're essentially going to have to get remarried, and you're going to need that divorce certificate in order to get married here again. That is definitely going to need to be clear. But one thing, man, is just because your ex-wife told you that she did this, that, and the other, that doesn't mean that happened. Or that doesn't mean that it happened in the way that she said. Okay? So remember, because this sort of logic applies to a lot of women across the world, but is especially applies to Russian women, is if, you know, many of them are convinced that they're a victim, right? And if they're a victim, then as a victim, they have the right to defend themselves by any means necessary, which means this kind of stuff. Hire a lawyer behind your back and try to destroy your life because they're a victim of your whatever. Okay. And Russian women very much believe in that. Okay. That they are victims of their husbands, and that gives them the right to do whatever they can do in order to survive, basically. So, oh, you are back. I mean, either you are, or maybe you are. I don't know. I do see an interesting question in the chat, though. So if you're not back, we have a nice question in the chat here, which is lovely, from you. Okay, you're not back. That's okay. There seems to be some sort of delay. Here we have Janusz who wants to speak, and hopefully Janusz is not a member of the Azov battalion. That is a very Ukrainian, Polsk-Ukrainian sounding name there, Janusz. Hello there. Hello, Janusz. Janusz going once, going twice, going thrice. Sorry, man. Something went wrong on your end with the microphone. You must have not unmuted yourself or something. Anyways, Sam Oak, who's been on the program before, is with us. Hello, Sam. Oops, I'm really enlarged.
Tim, how you
doing?
Hello.
Good. I got to make you louder. I can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So, what are the prospects like? Are Americans able to leave with their money and get there, or are we going to?
Here, very simple. Long story short, I have yet to find a successful case where people can easily like export their life savings from there to here. Everyone that I know who's really done it and has come over here, they either did it before the war, or they did the thing where they're kind of like, flying here, taking $10,000, going back, maybe getting. They're kind of doing it in like phases, like fly here with 10 grand with some stuff, and kind of fly back and take some more stuff and fly here with 10 grand and fly back. Yeah, unfortunately, some people swear by crypto, but none of these people who swear by crypto can ever tell me the exact mechanism they used. They always, especially Russians, because this is one thing that's very frustrating, is Russians really want to help you guys come move here, but they give you terrible information that's not true. And like all the Russians always comment, but crypto works. Oh my God, crypto. And I'm like, okay, which exchange? Who do I do? Who have you used? Like, have you taken $10,000 from America to Russia, gone to a particular crypto investor exchange person, and taken it out? Well, no, I haven't. Then how do you know it works? How do you know it works? You don't. So yeah, it's a real big pain in the butt, man.
Hey, what do you know about the old believers? In the old Orthodox believers that survived the Soviet Union. Can you tell us anything about those people?
Oh, okay. I guess I can get into that real quick. Let me mute you there. Again, not because you're a bad person, but because there was an echo. Well, with the old believers, they're just more hardcore. You know, ironically, when the church in the West split, it was because it was a sort of rebellion from, well, sort of the counter elite within the religion, and maybe some of the masses versus the elite in the religion. But basically, in some ways, in certain parts of Western Europe, certain people wanted the church to change. Whereas in Russia, pretty much no one wanted it to change. It's just the majority of people just went along with the Tsar and the system. And then a hardcore minority kind of said, nope, we will not accept these changes. They are blasphemy. And so they maintain the faith the way they see it from before some of these seemingly to us today minor changes. And so in a lot of ways, they kind of live, I would say they're a lot more like the Amish, if you wanted to make an equivalent to the West, because in a lot of ways, because they were sort of forced to be this like minority group, they don't really have this like greater church structure, not because it's wrong or because they have this like Protestant attitude that that structure is bad, but just because they kind of just don't have it. And so they kind of do things more on their own, and they tend to live more rurally and more isolated, and they tend to do more homeschooling again. They're kind of like the Amish. They're not super against technology, but maybe not like the Amish can be. But a lot of them certainly aren't for it. I would say it's kind of like more like the more, if anything, what it sort of boils down to in modern Russia, it's kind of just being the same type of Orthodox Christian as everyone else. You're just more hardcore about it, and that's kind of what it boils down to. The differences between whether you do the sign of the cross with 3 fingers or with 2 fingers, you know, in modern times, that is not a reason to consider someone a heretic. You know what I mean? We live in a different world now. But a lot of the old believers did flee during the Soviet repressions. And so, like, I believe there's actually a lot of them in Brazil. So then they've since come back from living in Brazil. But then again, I've also heard that Portuguese has a lot of lovely sounds like they have in Russian. But anyways, let me answer one more question, and then we'll get to Slav Squatch. So one question was about basements for underground breeding. Legally speaking, as Jeremiah mentioned, for a garage. I mean, you can build an American-style basement, but no one does. Because they tend to be expensive, and because the environment down there tends to be really gross in Russia. It'll be, you know, extremely moist and extremely, you know, the cold and the moisture. It's just not a viable living space in Russia. The weather's too cold, and people don't build them. In fact, I'll put it this way. It's kind of like, and again, because Russia's a poorer country, when you're thinking about what do you want in your house? Do you want to have maybe a second floor or maybe a third floor that you can actually use for normal stuff? Or do you want to have a basement? So, yeah, they're really, really not popular. What is popular is to build like a little concrete bunker under your house where you can like keep stuff in jars, like a cellar, like an old school underground cellar. Those are kind of popular. I have one in Chekhov, never use it. I do. I mean, I guess I could, but I'm never going to because it's just disgusting down there. So, yeah. Anyways, Slav Squatch, I think you're going to be the last person for today because I'm getting tired and I have some messages to answer before I go back to sleep. Woke up in the middle of the night to exercise. So anyway, Slav Squatch, you're here.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but I'm going to bump you up like most people. Okay, I hear you.
Oh, right, great. Yeah, I was just thinking about a few years ago. I was watching these guys drilling in Russia. They're called Budim Sami. It's like we
they drill themselves by themselves.
Yeah, we drill themselves, and yeah, it was amazing. They were doing like 2 or 3 wells a day by hand with like a pump and some water, and they just like load all their equipment like on their cars and stuff. And I think back then it was like maybe like 30, 40, maybe even like 50,000 for a well with the pump.
Well, again, it all depends on the depth, man. There's no way they're going to get 100 meters down by hand. Just it's not happening.
No, that's definitely not gonna happen. Most of them were like 20 meters, like 30 meters.
Yeah. Well, that's
one of them was 53 meters, and it had its own pressure. I saw it in the video.
Well, yeah, well, that's like the difference between like what they call like the kolodets, which is like a well, and skvozhina, which is in English, I don't remember, when you drill for water real deep. And so, like with the kolodets, I think that's up to 12 meters or something. And that's the kind where, you go like in the olden days where you kind of drop the bucket down on a rope and you can pull it up and the water's still clean.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of places like in Chekhov, you can't do that. There is no clean water or really any water at that level anywhere around Chekhov. You have to drill, drill. So, I mean, that's something where in the future, like with the American Village, we just sort of have to see what kind of water they have there. It's near a major river. Maybe there could be well water, which will save everyone a ton of money, and maybe people would like that. But maybe it's like Chekhov, and it's drill, baby, drill. And so, whatever those guys are doing, it's not going to be good enough. They need industrial equipment.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it'd be good to have like a village with like serious like municipal services.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for with this the construction company, and for them to hopefully be able to get a grant, because, like I said, this whole pioneering stuff is fun to an extent, but it's tough enough moving here, man. And there's plenty of problems, and I think making things nice isn't really a bad thing. I mean, like what I did in Chekhov, it's cool. But I mean, is it the best way to do things, or would my life be a lot easier? I don't know. So I've got mixed feelings, but I think it'd be better for the overall majority of people to have things be somewhat organized and all that. So, got anything else, man?
No, right now. Look forward to your next one, man.
Pardon?
I look forward to your next one.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. All right, all the best to you too. Gonna meet you there. So, anyways, I guess that's the end of things. Final check on the written messages. Wow, no one. Very few written messages today. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for being with me. I hope this was all useful to you. So remember, as the recap, we have a village priest working that out. So that's gonna be cool. I explained and answered a major question about like why not just do this in Moscow or a city, because it won't work. And then the thing is, we got into what are the houses going to look like if this particular company that's expressed interest does, go through with all this. Cool. And then we kind of got into I calculated the price for the extension of my own home. To see, what that would look like, and sort of express that to you guys what these sort of costs and difficulties are. But anyways, guys, I am out. It was great talking to you. Have a wonderful day, because I got to go back to sleep. End live stream. Yeah.